Hello, I'm Don Mitchell. Welcome back to Disciple, the book that helps you develop more than 60 experiences of drawing closer to God and fulfilling more of your calling from Him to expand and improve God's kingdom. A calling that was designed before the worlds were created or you were even born. So today we'll be focusing once again on part two, Live the Gospel, the words of Jesus as He also did the wonderful work of creating our salvation. And in doing so, we'll be focusing on some familiar text about a Good Samaritan as we look at the notion of doing good for those you encounter, which is the second lesson of week 4 in part 2. So let me begin by quoting from Luke. But he, wanting to justify himself, said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Then Jesus answered and said, "A certain man came down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked, and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. So he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and he set him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. On the next day when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, 'Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come again, I will repay you.' So which of these do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves?" And he said, "He who showed mercy on him." Then Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." So this is from the book of Luke, chapter 10, verses 29 through 37 in the New King James Version. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, which we've just heard, we see that Jesus directed the questioner to view anyone he came into contact with as a neighbor, one to whom love is owed, as stated in Mark chapter 12, verse 21, the New King James Version. And the second, like it, is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no greater commandment than these. Most people certainly act as if they love themselves quite a bit, lavishing much more of their time, effort, and money on personal comfort, preferences, and interests than in meeting the needs of others. Should such a degree of self-love be applied as well to neighbors, those who come into contact with at any time, surely such beneficiaries would find themselves well treated. Who are those we encounter? Well, it's clear from the parable that anyone in need who is close enough that we can help them is such a neighbor. For instance, if you are eating in a restaurant and looked out the window and noticed someone fall on the sidewalk outside, you should get up, go out and see if you can help the fallen person. Perhaps no assistance might be needed, but you would certainly want someone to check on you if you had just fallen, wouldn't you? If help is required, your action might be very much appreciated, even if you have no practical skills for assisting, and simply speak kind words in a soothing tone to the person while waiting for expert assistance to arrive. As the parable suggests, the person who needs help might not be in a position to ask for aid due to having been injured, not being able to speak at the moment, or feeling shy about reaching out. Think of yourself as the love provider for those who need some of it, but do not ask, which is pretty much everyone who isn't both in a close relationship with Jesus and having a great day in every way. This lesson emphasizes doing something helpful for the neighbor in need, as does the parable of the Good Samaritan. As you probably appreciate, in telling this parable, Jesus seemed to have been encouraging love of neighbors. Why did he provide such encouragement in this way? While we certainly don't know for sure, one possibility is that Jesus realized that it's hard for us to love a stranger. However, as soon as we spend time with someone, at least some love for a person will usually develop. In caring for someone who obviously needs help, Compassion could surely develop while doing what we can to assist. That compassion, in turn, can grow into viewing the person in need with sacrificial love. If we help in such ways often enough, perhaps we can eventually see all strangers as being among those Jesus wants us to love, whether or not they appear to have any immediate needs we can meet. So let's now get ready to ask some questions that will enable us to experience living as Jesus indicated in this wonderful parable. As you begin to act in this way, realize that you will be spending more time doing many tasks simply because you'll be adding new activities to help others while engaged in whatever you usually do. Be sure to adjust your expectations about what you can accomplish while you are with others. If you don't, the joy that Jesus intends for you to feel from assisting others will be offset by anxiety as you fall behind your plans for accomplishing other tasks. Here are questions designed to help you begin to notice and more often act on what you noticed to do good for others. First, when have you applied the parable of the Good Samaritan to sacrificially help a stranger? Second, how did such experiences affect your love for the people you helped? Third, what has kept you from sacrificially helping strangers more often? Fourth, what would have to change about your thinking and behavior to notice more neighbors who aren't yet known to you and to find ways to help them that would ultimately cause you to feel more loving towards them? 5. Who can you do something loving for today for the very first time among those you encounter? 6. Did you do so? 7. What was your feeling from having helped someone for the very first time? 8. Who else can you take such actions with? And 9. How can you ensure that you will continue to do so? Aren't these wonderful things to be thinking about and doing? I'm sure they'll bless you greatly as you do. So I'll say goodbye for now, and we'll be talking to you soon and more about Disciple.